Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 186 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie and I return this time out to preview the Belgian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the podcast that went live earlier on in the week where we spoke about what was just a very chaotic Hungarian Grand Prix, go back and check it out. But Jamie, it's the final race before the summer break. It kind of felt like it was a slow start to the year, but races recently becoming thick and fast, and now after this weekend we've got to try and survive a month without them.
Yes, and there'll be a lot of talk in the summer break, I'm sure, about many things. And it feels awful that Belgium is before the break, because we're so used to having Belgium be the first race back. Ever since I can remember, really, Belgium has always been the race to bring you back. So it feels a bit odd to just be going straight to Zandvoort afterwards. And not even, they've split up Belgium and Monza so much now. It's very sad.
I think every time we get back round to the Belgian Grand Prix, we make exactly this rant every single season.
Probably.
We like traditional Formula 1. We want a 6-race calendar. Monaco is the only street circuit.
Only points for the top 6. That'd be great.
Only points for the top 6. And everybody who gets within 1 second of the fastest lap gets a split of the point for it.
Exactly.
Good times. Good times were had back in the old days of Formula 1. Bring back HAAS, dearie me. That would be quite... I mean, at least we then get a German Grand Prix, which would be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, yeah, obviously, it's only been a couple of days since that last podcast went out, but we have bizarrely got quite a few things to talk about. Now, ultimately, this podcast is normally cursed when it comes to news dropping. We said last week, obviously, or in the last episode, that Ocon was probably going to be announced by now. Hasn't happened yet, which I guess is a good point. But I don't think either of us had on our bingo card, did we, that Mattia Binotto was suddenly going to be spread all over our Twitter, or X, or whatever we're calling it, timelines yesterday, because he's made the move to Audi, seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah, as COO and CTO, which is very high up.
It's a lot of letters.
Literally boss. Yeah, it's a lot of letters. And I don't mind it. Obviously, I have a major investment in Audi, not money-wise, just because Hulkenberg's going for the next season.
I was going to say, if you got stock in Audi.
I've got millions of pounds in Audi, yeah, so... And I don't think it's a bad
major investment. No, it's a bit of an odd one.
I don't mind it, and obviously they've sacked Andreas Seidel, who everyone hypes up all the time, which I think is probably fair. When he was at McLaren, he was doing very well, but this Sauer project for him hasn't really gone anywhere, and it really, it's been pretty poor all round. And at the end of the day, you look at the leadership for that, and him and Hoffman, I can't remember his first name, both of them were really high up in Sauber, and they've both gone because Sauber have been awful for the last... We were looking at some data before the show. They scored more points in the first half of 2022, when they had a car down to the weight limit, than they have in the 4.5 seasons around that since 2020.
Since the turn of the decade, and we're almost halfway through it. Yeah, it's... Yes. I mean, I think we always knew... Yeah, we'd always said anyway that Sauber this year was just going to be sacrifice, wasn't it? You know, and ultimately, as much as Hulkenberg's not going to admit it, I think he's pretty much of the idea that next year is just a complete write-off. Which, to be fair, you know, we've been seeing he's been delivering so well with that HAAS team. It's absolutely a gamble at this stage of his career that he can afford to go with. Because, you know, it's not that he's got world championships and things like that. You know, it's just to try and get that big break with a big team that has never really fallen into place for him. But it always seemed a bit odd. I remember originally when we kind of saw this kick buyout and obviously Alfa Romeo leaving Sauber and all this, that and the other. And then they kind of said that there was no team principal. It was just going to be like 2 guys that we never heard of before, kind of in charge of separate parts of the team. And you're going, well, this isn't very normal. And there's a reason why every other team up and down the grid does it one way. And it just has not worked, has it?
No, not at all. And they have been going backwards. Like, even within this season, they've been going backwards. But across the course of 3 or 4 years, really since they started well with this rule cycle, it's just been going backwards and backwards. And yeah, they are an independent team. They don't have the most amazing facilities in the world, but they're definitely they own more assets than the likes of HAAS and Williams, I would say, in terms of how good their factory is. So at the very least, they should be on comparable levels to those kinds of teams, and they just aren't. They are the backmarker by a long way this season, and I would be surprised if they sneak more than 1 point somewhere.
Yeah, we asked this question very early on in the year, didn't I? And I know you were adamant they would. Would you still say now you think there's going to be a point opportunity at some point this year for them?
I think so. They've been close enough on a couple of occasions that, like, there hasn't really been a crazy race full of DNFs yet this season, as far as I can remember.
No, not really.
So
that's what I was trying to think about. Well, I was trying to think back.
Bottas is fairly regularly finishing about 14th, 13th, 14th. Obviously, Joe finished 11th in Bahrain and 9th in the China Sprint.
Never forget.
So, there you go. P20 on countback. We take those.
Boy.
So, yeah. I think they'll sneak a point between them somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because obviously last year one of the craziest races ended up being Zandvoort, wasn't it? And obviously that wasn't a particularly great one for Sauber, because obviously both cars flew off the road at turn 1. Bottas was able to keep it going though, because he's much more talented. I mean, you say they're like the true backmarker. I think that's still a bit harsh. Let's not forget, obviously Bottas last weekend qualified 12th. You know, they've got a car on a track that suits them, a car that can absolutely fight with the other backmarker teams. But it's still, you know, all the feedback we ever sort of seem to find out about them is it's a tricky car to drive. You know, it's not very forgiving. It's not very confidence-inspiring either. It's just a bit difficult. And when they get it right one weekend, it's there or thereabouts. When they get it wrong, and probably still the best example of that was Monaco, wasn't it? Where I think they were pretty much as far off everybody else as the rest of the grid was. It was just a complete write-off of a weekend for them, and that was probably the low light of this year.
Yeah, totally.
But obviously, going back to Mattia Binotto, let's not forget, Jamie, he is Swiss-born.
Is he? I didn't know that.
He was born in Switzerland, so the Swiss are reuniting. They're going to put up all the defences around the country, and they're going to build a dominant Formula 1 team, despite having a German manufacturer next year.
I quite like Mattia Binotto, and I don't think he's as bad as people make out. He's very heavily memed, just because of how much 2022 fell apart for Ferrari. But, like, he got them to the point of challenging Red Bull within a few years, which is pretty good going. Like, he jumped Mercedes by a mile in the time where he was team principal.
Let's not forget as well, because obviously his area of I'm trying to think of the right word. Technical
expertise.
That's the one, expertise. I was trying to work out. Of course, he's got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and let's not forget he probably still was in control of the team that probably maybe produced the most powerful engine that we've seen in this turbo hybrid era. Maybe Lewis is at the end of 2021.
Whether
had a good run for it as well.
The Ferrari engine was legal or not.
Oh, and it wasn't. We know that. But you've got to think, obviously he was able to do that pretty quickly with that team. Audi's coming in trying to build new engines for 2026. There's got to be a decent level of understanding there for him. You know, that might really play into their hand, because of course all the talk is about how this new era is going to be more about the engines again. And, you know, like we saw in the second half of 2019, no, it certainly wasn't legal. I think no one can really argue against that. But it did make a huge difference. They completely turned their fortunes around. We don't talk about 2020.
They were qualifying 1-2 every week, pretty much, in 2019.
Everywhere.
But it was so illegal that they were basically punished with a year of being awful. So, yeah. Which makes us laugh as non-Sebastian Vettel fans that was his last year in Ferrari. But, yeah.
I mean, you got to think as well, of course, you know, it's a very, very different team to manage, I'm sure, when you've got... No, I wasn't actually going to say smaller. I was thinking more when Audi come in about a factory team than a customer team. You know, you've got to manage everything now. You know, you've got an engine department. Obviously, you've got to, you know, work out distributions, things like that as well. Although no one at the moment, I think, is using Audi power, are they? When the new regs come in, nothing's been confirmed or anything.
No.
But obviously he has experience of that side of things as well. Trying to go to a board and getting more funds or being able to do this or being able to do that as well. And I think the good thing as well for him specifically is he's not come from the Sauber side. He's not come from the Audi side. He can kind of come in as a neutral down the middle and really kind of go, I think this is the right thing. And people can't go, oh, well, he's siding with the board. Oh, he's siding with people working at the Sauber factory. He can just come in and be quite objective with, I think this is the right way to go with this car or this upgrade, and go from there. And it's also quite funny that obviously now effectively him and Fred Vasseur have swapped.
That is true, actually. They're going to be rivals back in next season. Well, maybe not next season, the season after, probably.
Next season? How badly a Ferrari throw away next year? Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, but I don't hate it. Seems good for direction, at least, because Sauber are really rudderless at the minute. But yeah, we will switch it up to a different back marker and start talking about Sergio. No, we'll talk about Alpine. And yeah, they've got a livery for this weekend in Belgium, which is pretty good. It doesn't look like an Alpine in the slightest. It's red and black.
It's a fantastic livery.
It is. It really is. And it's based on Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool movie and Wolverine movies that are dropping on Thursday, today, as we record this.
Will you be watching them?
No.
we did discuss this beforehand, because obviously, I think we're both aware. What was it? Deadpool, is it called?
Yes.
I'm aware we're sounding really old right now as well. But we kind of discussed this pre-show. Neither Jamie or I could tell you anything about Marvel. We just have no idea.
A few films. That's it.
I couldn't even go that far, I don't think.
All I know about Ryan Reynolds is that he owns Wrexham Football Club. That's
basically what I could tell you. So just completely left field, Jamie. I've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole.
Oh no!
Because obviously I was looking at Mattia Binotto. Obviously the next thing that came up was Maurizio Arrivabene. Do you know what he's been up to?
Probably smoking a lot of cigarettes in Italy.
No, he got a 2-year ban from football into financial fraud.
I did see
with
that.
Juventus. It was quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
So
all the Juve board just got kicked out. So bizarre. The Italians are always up to no good.
There we go. That's all of our 4 Italians.
All of the Italians
immediately
gone.
Switching off.
Ciao.
But yeah, I mean, that Alpine livery looks pretty good. There's been other news with Alpine this week, hasn't there, Jamie?
There has been.
Because they're meant to be
it's all
their
exploding
engine program,
again.
and they apparently want to become a Mercedes customer team, which would mean that they've got McLaren, Williams, currently Aston Martin, although they're going to go, and then Alpine. So half the grid would be back to Mercedes power, which I think would be like Formula 1 in 1975? Which is a very obscure one.
And
I'll just double check
2016,
this.
right?
2016, yeah, but I guess you had the extra team on the grid with Manor, didn't you? Yeah, the 1975 British Grand Prix, everybody had a Ford power unit apart from Ferrari. And there were 28 cars there.
And there was a press release, I don't know if you saw it, from Pierre Chotti, who's Alpine's former legal manager, who has basically released a paragraph, an essay worth of people saying that Alpine are making a massive error. He's absolutely lambasting them, especially the leadership of Luca Di Meo and Laurent Rossi. He's absolutely hating on, calling them numerous ethical concerns, questioned the direction we were heading. No one seemed to care. Looking back, I regret not taking more action. The scrutiny to the mismanagement and possibly prevented some of those missteps. Although I'm cynical enough to believe that no one would have really cared. The only positive would have been on my ego.
Seriously, I love a good French spat. It's so fun to watch.
Honestly, watching Alpine over the last 3 years has basically
I'd argue
just been...
since 2006.
Yeah. Has been, right, who's falling out now and what's exploding. So, yeah, this is the latest thing. The Alpine did most recently, like the engine they used most recently that wasn't a Renault power unit, was the Mercedes power unit back in 2015.
2015.
So, yeah, I don't think it's a bad move, but it's just, is the very factory going to close then? If that's what they do, at this point, you wonder,
surely you'd repurpose it if you're a company like
for something else. But you think the Enstone team, maybe they're on the way out? Sell them to Andretti.
I'm just thinking then. You obviously mentioned that about the last time. Obviously they used. Obviously you still had Red Bull using Renault power units, didn't you? I was like, what happened to Renault then during 2015? But obviously,
Toro Rosso also used a year-old Renault. Or was that a year-old Ferrari? At that point, they switched back and forth a few times.
Yeah, bit odd.
Yeah, very odd.
Let's have a look. 2015, Toro Rosso were using... No, they were using the 2015 Renault power unit as well, yeah.
Okay, and then the year after they switched to a 2015 Ferrari, which is why they were faster than Red Bull at the start.
They were, yeah. Yeah, because they did, didn't they? They were using...
They were using a year-old Ferrari, yeah, definitely.
According to this, it was a 2-year-old Ferrari engine, but I don't believe that. No, it was just an iteration update for 2015, 2016.
Yeah, so Renault are falling apart again. Who could have seen that coming? Gasly is yet to finish any. He didn't start Silverstone. He DNF'd from the back of the grid in Hungary mechanically. So they've probably just sponsored him by Ryan Reynolds, so that Gasly's got something to watch when he retires.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know how long a Deadpool movie is, but I'm sure there'll be enough time to watch most of it whilst all the other drivers do the race.
Shorter than in 2021 Belgian Grand Prix, that's for sure.
Probably, yeah. Let's talk about it, Jamie. We've spoken about it so many times, haven't we? What's going on with Sergio Perez this week? Is he out of a drive? Is Ricciardo out of a drive as well? He's got one more round to prove himself. It's not going to happen, is it? He's in trouble.
Well, there's more going on at Red Bull than meets the eye, obviously, as there always is. But Max Verstappen has grid pens this weekend. That's a bit of news. So he's going to be starting at the very best P11. So yeah, that gives Perez an opportunity to be like, right, let's start ahead of Max, let's beat Max, and then I'm going to keep my seat forever. Will that happen? No, it probably won't happen. But yeah, he actually did have a very good Hungarian Grand Prix weekend, if you ignore the fact he crashed in Q1. Because
the
Friday
race actually was one of his best so far this year.
And all the murmurs out of Red Bull have been they were very pleased with his race pace because he beat George Russell from a worse starting position, which is quite good going.
No, he was ahead of Russell, wasn't he?
Oh, he was ahead of Russell.
Perez was 16th, yeah. They basically just followed each other. Ah, right, okay.
And then he had to get back ahead of Russell on pure pace. So his pace in clear air was actually very good at Hungary. So if he can keep that up, I think if he has another positive weekend where he doesn't... I mean, it's hard to call Hungary positive when he still did qualify 17th. Or 16th, sorry. But if he just has a normal weekend where he qualifies within that top 7, because Max obviously won't be there, and finishes at least ahead of 8th, as in he beats one of the other top running teams, then maybe they keep him for a bit longer, but it seems like the writing's on the wall, to be honest. So, yeah. Interestingly, murmurs out of whatever they're called, VCARB, and what's called AlphaTauri. That's not the case. Daniel Ricciardo basically has been told you've got, he was told, I think, before Silverstone that you've got these 3 races to prove yourself. And that was all he was told. It wasn't prove yourself why you should stay in RB or why you should earn that seat off Perez. It was just prove yourself. So he's in a bit of uncertainty as well.
This is the bizarre thing, though, with the way the Red Bull program is right now, is that Ricciardo could genuinely end up with one of the best seats on the grid or no seat at all within 2 weeks, and you just don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. Do you think Perez should be dropped?
I'm with the mindset at the moment now. He's clearly, they're probably going to lose the Constructors' Championship this year, is the way I feel about it at the moment. I would... But let's be fair, at the end of the day now, because of the budget cap, is a Constructors' title that important for a team like Red Bull when you know you're going to get the funding anyway? Yes, obviously it's nice to win, and I understand that. And, it's the whole point of the competition. But from purely a financial standpoint, it's the same as if Ferrari don't... Well, they never win it, but, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be able to spend the most amount of money. If anything, it's probably beneficial for them because they get more wind tunnel time. But
maybe, yeah.
I would, if it was me right now, and if I was in charge of Red Bull, I would be lobbing Ricciardo in there and putting Lawson and Tsunoda against each other in the V-Carb, and basically saying if Ricciardo can stay close enough to Max, he keeps it. If he can't, then you know which one of those two is going to be better ready for next year. Or you give Yuki a run at it. I don't know. But that would be what I'd do. Give Ricciardo the seat and basically use it as a test run for Yuki versus Liam. Perez can go enjoy a summer holiday.
He'll be driving for Alpine next season or HAAS or something. Probably not HAAS if they've signed Ocon, but yeah, Perez could get enough at Audi. Bring back the 2014 Force India. That would be great.
Wow, that'd be a lineup and a half, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. Lineup from 10 years ago would have been quite good. But I think it would be amazing if they just chuck Liam Lawson in the Red Bull, to be honest.
Oh, they shouldn't though.
But
it's such a stupid idea.
I think he would do quite well, to be honest. He obviously wouldn't beat Max, but I don't think he'd do any worse than Perez is doing. And
you'd have to give it to him on the proviso that it doesn't impact his opportunities next year. It's not that you have to deliver in this car, otherwise you're not getting the V-Carb next year. But even then, why would you put in a rookie instead of putting in a driver? Yeah, so lob Ricciardo in there and give him a chance to build up at RB.
If Lawson doesn't have a seat by September, he gets to quit, basically. He's a free agent, so anyone can sign him. And it sounds like people would be interested in signing him. So
he sniffed around, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And Red Bull basically if we don't give him a seat, we've lost him. And do they, maybe they don't care, because he could be middling, but he's still 21, 22. And he did very creditably at V-Carb, or whatever the Minardi it's called these days, last season. So,
but let's be fair, sensibly, as a rookie driver, he did absolutely well enough to keep that seat.
Yeah.
I still want to know what Daniel Ricciardo, what information he has on Christian Horner that is allowing him to maintain this drive.
Horner just loves him, that's the thing.
But I get that. And don't get me wrong, Ricciardo's obviously a very likeable character, and that does go a long way in Formula 1. But he's also, how old is he? 34, 35?
Yeah.
In a junior team.
Exactly.
He's not gonna fight for world titles or anything like that anymore, unless something crazy happens. Unless he ends up with a Button 2009 year or something. It's just not gonna happen. And at some point, you've got to accept that.
Slightly upset that for the second time in his career, Hulkenberg has accidentally missed out on the best team in the grid because he signed a bit early for a team on the up, which is slightly irritating.
What's that, sorry?
In 2016, when Rosberg retired, Hulkenberg had already signed for Renault, despite being the first choice for Rosberg and for Niki Lauda when Rosberg left. And then this time round, if he hadn't signed for Audi and was just a HAAS driver looking for a seat, I am positive that he would be in that Red Bull by Monza, or by Zandvoort, sorry.
Fair enough. I mean, maybe if they threw enough money at HAAS, he could still be bought out if they wanted him that badly.
Only for 6 months, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Well, I don't know why when you've got... Red Bull have got the money that if it came to it, they could buy him out of any contract they wanted.
I guess so.
It wouldn't be a problem.
He's pals with Verstappen, he's quick, he needs a podium.
Is he pals with Verstappen? I don't think I've ever seen them talk.
No, he gave Verstappen a slipstream to get him in the pole, didn't he?
Oh, wow, they're best mates.
Exactly.
Oh man! I mean, let's talk quickly. You've segued there nicely. Max Verstappen is now banned from sim racing, late night sim racing during Grand Prix weekends.
Despite his probably best performance of the season in Imola,
I think this is really odd that this is described as his best performance of the year, because the only reason it got so close in the end was because he spent a lot of the early race bottling it slightly. He then just had to be don't get me wrong. Yes, the defensive drive at the end was very good. But it was mainly just because, he made so many track limit infringements inside the first 15 laps that he had to be careful.
Maybe he hadn't been up all night gaming, then he would have been okay, wouldn't he?
Well, exactly. And what I love most about this is the
Crofty.
Well, yeah, but this is what I don't get. People go, oh, well, it's Crofty. If he was British, he would be saying how good it was to leave sim racing. You're going, I don't think Crofty would. I think he's just an old man that doesn't understand. Yeah. And, I understand that people do moan about the British bias and that kind of thing, and I understand obviously it's frustrating on the world feed and things like that, But ultimately, it's a British media company that's trying to get British people to pay insane amounts of money to watch it.
And have you ever heard the clips of Dutch media?
Oh, exactly. The Dutch are 10 times worse, I'd argue. But obviously, they're not the world feed, and I do understand that.
Yeah.
You know, I think they probably do need an Alex Jakes on the world feed or something like that. And as painful as it might be to say, maybe a Will Buxton. Because I'd argue they probably can be a bit more neutral.
Jolyon Palmer.
Jolyon Palmer would be perfect. He'd be perfect back in that Alpine car as well. But yeah.
His career's not done yet, is it?
No, exactly. And to be fair, he's had a pretty successful career once he's stepped out of the car.
I would love
makes
to
me
have
laugh
Jolyon Palmer
so
on
much.
the show. He's great.
Jolyon Palmer is a baller, and Jolyon, if you want to come on,
you're a day one fan.
I have been a day one fan of Jolyon Palmer. I love the guy. Shall we do your quiz, Jamie?
Yes, I'm worried about this.
Oh, you shouldn't be too worried. It's a pretty easy one today. So, Jamie 183, Belgian Grand Prix. What is the best Belgian Grand Prix of all time?
1998.
That wasn't the one I was going to say. That's a shame. Add 10 years to it. 2009? Oh yeah, Fisichella won, I suppose, yeah. Well, he didn't win, sorry, Raikkonen won.
08.
Yes, thank you. We got there in the end. You have got 1 minute to name me every driver that scored a point in that Grand Prix, but if you get one wrong, it's over.
Okay.
Okay?
I think I can do this. I know
you should be able to do this. We both know this race quite well. This, honestly, I reckon, is one of the most underrated races of when I see people on Twitter going, I want to get my friend into Formula 1. What race shall I show them?
Yeah.
This one should be up there, but it's not talked about enough.
And 2010 Belgium should be up there too. That was a great race.
Exactly. Belgium delivered so many great races, and now it's just been a stinker for the last few years because they're too scared of racing in the rain.
Start the clock.
3, 2, 1, go.
Right, Felipe Massa won.
Correct.
From Nick Heidfeld.
Correct.
From Lewis Hamilton.
Correct.
The absolute cheat, by the way.
Oh, yeah, there you go, yeah.
Fourth was Fernando Alonso.
Correct.
I think fifth was Seb Vettel.
Correct.
Now, Bourdais was seventh.
Correct.
And I just can't remember who was sixth or eighth. So I will say it definitely wasn't Raikkonen because he crashed.
Bottle job?
It could be Kovalainen, but I'm not locking that in yet. I'll go... No. Robert Kubica seems like it might be a wrong answer as well.
10 seconds.
Who else was alright that season? I'll go Kubica.
Correct. 7 out of 8. You got one more. 3, 1.
Rosberg.
Time is up. No, annoyingly, no, you're wrong anyway.
Who was the last one?
So, first of all, Heikki Kovalainen, of course, his gearbox broke down at pretty much the exact same second that Hamilton crossed the line, which is quite impressive.
I didn't know that. That is impressive.
Yeah, he broke down literally on the last lap, gearbox failure. The last driver inside the top 10, I'm not surprised you don't remember it, because by the looks of it, it was the loneliest race in the world.
Right.
It was Mark Webber. I can't do an Australian accent like you can.
Not bad for a 1-2 driver.
He was 26 seconds behind Bourdais in front, and 25 seconds ahead of Timo Glock behind. Wow. So it was a pretty lonely end to an afternoon.
Was he driving? He was Red Bull by then, wasn't he?
He was Red Bull then, yeah.
7
out of 8 though was good going. He did, yeah. I mean, Sebastian Bourdais, we've spoken about this many times before. But the fact that
with a lap to go.
He was 7th, less than 3 seconds. 2 seconds. Sorry, 3 seconds, yeah. But no, it was 2 seconds. I can't do maths. 2 seconds behind Alonso in 4th, and would have had a podium heading into that final lap. Absolutely heartbreaking. And, of course, then everyone remembers the weekend after as well.
Even at Bourdais qualified 4th.
That Toro Rosso was such a good car.
In the wet, especially.
People don't, especially in the wet, people don't talk about it enough. They go, oh, Seb, it was such a miracle. They go, no, hang on a minute. That car was genuinely, by that
probably
point of
the
the
third fastest.
He was on par with BMW Sauber towards the end of the year. It was mad, the car they built.
It was close to Renault. That season's actually great. I might go rewatch it.
Genuinely, we've said this before. If we could do classic podcasts, 2008 would be such a season to go back through.
So
fun. Not quite as fun. But yeah, you did well there. 7 out of 8. I'm impressed. Shall we get on with our predictions? Are we missing anything? I think we've gone through all the notes we wanted to, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we've done everything apart from that.
Wonderful. What are the scores on the doors still?
You are 2 ahead of me.
Okay.
So, yes, it's currently 50-48.
Just to clarify as well, because obviously Verstappen's got grip pens.
Ocon announced he's going to HAAS 5 minutes ago.
Oh, wonderful. There we go. We
didn't miss some news for once.
We didn't miss news. It's hot off the press. Ocon announced it because we're live. It is glorious. Ocon confirmed to HAAS. Jamie, we already knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, we did. Ayo Komatsu was his first ever race engineer. Who knew?
And it's the first ever Grand Prix winner to race for HAAS.
Really? I guess so, yeah. I mean, he's the luckiest Grand Prix winner of all time. He's up there.
Up there, yeah. I wouldn't say the luckiest.
No, probably not the luckiest. But... Yes.
So he's on a
one
multi-year deal. Doesn't say how many, though. There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to read through just quickly, just kind of skimming through.
Not much going on. Yeah,
doesn't say
pretty much as expected.
Exactly. It's not considering obviously we've been hyping this up. It's pretty much as we expected. Jamie, are you predicting an Esteban Ocon win this weekend to celebrate his announcement?
And we're taking pole position as the driver who starts
the race from P1. Yeah.
Right, so you can't predict Verstappen. Well, you could. But
you could if you theoretically think 10 other cars are going to get penalties.
I guess, yeah. So I will say pole position will go to George Russell again.
Okay, interesting. I mean, it's meant to rain Saturday, isn't it?
It is, yeah, supposedly, and he qualified second in a Williams, so why not?
And he also, the last time it rained in qualifying, took pole at another high-speed, high-downforce circuit.
Exactly. There is madness in my method. That's not the saying, is it? But
it's not.
First place will be Lando Norris.
Okay.
Second place will be George Russell.
Okay.
And third place will be Max Verstappen.
Interesting. British 1-2, eh?
Yeah, we're going for it again. Well,
when was the last time Brits got a 1-2? Brazil 22,
Brazil
shortly.
22.
Yeah.
Or no, who came second to Russell in Austria? That was Sainz, wasn't it?
It was Sainz, yeah.
Yeah.
Mercedes, I don't think about a double podium this year, have they? They've had podiums in like the last 4 Grand Prix after not getting one all year, but haven't had a double podium yet. Which is quite impressive.
You're going to predict Checo Perez on pole, so I heard.
I'm not predicting that at all. Where did you hear that? I'm going to say pole position. He's going to rewrite the wrongs of 2021. It's going to be Lando Norris. I'm going to say P1. It's going to be Lando Norris. Can't believe I'm saying this. Disgusting. P2 is going to be... Lewis Hamilton.
Another British one too in the predictions.
Yeah. P3. I'm gonna say Oscar Piastri.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm typing in the predictions. I've already written Piastri in third because I knew you were gonna predict it.
I keep predicting P3. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm hoping I can just get some points with him.
Double McLaren podium. Title's really on.
It is. It's heating up. I reckon Verstappen will probably end up like 4th or 5th.
Yeah, he'll make his way through most of those. He'll beat the Ferraris, won't he?
He'll beat the Ferraris, yeah.
And
he'll beat Perez. And maybe, well, they'll have to beat Russell if he finishes 4th, but still.
Yeah.
Have we got anything else to add, Jamie?
It might rain. Although we said that already, didn't we?
We did say that.
Race should be dry. Friday, Saturday could be wet. So have fun, everyone camping.
Yep, enjoy it. Jamie's done it before.
Like a mud bath.
Glorious. Absolutely glorious.
Yes.
Well, there we go then. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like. Get yourselves subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs on the channel to be greatly appreciated. And Jamie and I will return then next week to discuss the chaos that led to Zhou Guanyu claiming his first Formula 1 win.